The president seems to be, well, not in a mood to accept a lot of Iranian aggression, and of course they have been acting up lately. Listen.
We'll see what happens with Iran. Iran has to be very, very careful.
He postponed or called off what was intended to be a response against Iran after they shot down one of our drones. I imagine there is still plenty of Iranian military hardware in the crosshairs of the U.S. military right now.
Right. So the U.S. policy is in a really good place. He's put pressure on the Iranians. The Iranians have actually helped him by doing things that make them look more dangerous, and in turn that puts more pressure on the Europeans. The oil sanctions have been dramatically effective to the point now that the Iranians are almost afraid that their economy is going to shut down. I think what the administration has to do is, on the one hand, people will say, oh, dude, you need to back off because the Iranians will, do something dangerous. And indeed, there are forces in Iran that want to do wacky things, and they might try something. So I think what the United States has to do is, on one hand, is keep the pressure on because it's got them right where they want them. At some point, the Iranians actually are going to want to come back to the table. But on the other hand, somebody in Iran may do something stupid, and I think the United States has to be disciplined and proportional, showing it's not going to mess with that, but it's not going to escalate. So they need to kind of stay right where they are.
Talk about that term proportional. I mean, the U.S., that was a $40 million drone they shot out of the sky. Then there are all of those oil tankers that we have pretty clear evidence were sabotaged by Iranian forces in small boats. Why not aim a drone at one of those small boats? Would that be disproportional?
No, I think that would be, perfectly legitimate. That's an act of self-defense. Look, I think honestly, kind of the drone thing is on us. I mean, we should not have left our drone that vulnerable. I mean, we should have certainly considered that kind of Iranian response. And so I really wonder if that was our finest hour there. But I think that, one, we're going to protect our assets, and we've made that very clear to the Iranian. And we're talking about living human beings. If they go after something that's got a live human being on it, and threatens to hurt or kill them, that asset's going to get taken out. The Iranians know that, and we'll do that. It's perfectly proportional. Nobody in the world would take us to task for that.
The Iranians are threatening again to ramp up their uranium production. They don't need it for power plants. The only purpose that could be served by this, highly concentrated uranium is weapons, right?
Well, look, they didn't need enrichment at all. And under the NPT, they shouldn't have had enrichment. And one of the ultimate sins of the Iran deal was we let them have enrichment, because when you can enrich, you can make the stuff for a bomb at some point. And if we had taken that off the table, if they let them keep the nuclear power plants, but they had given up the capacity to enrich uranium, we wouldn't be where we are today. So it all goes back to the original sin. And the original sin was Obama got us to this point. We put the pressure campaign in place. The Iranians came to the table, and then he basically let them do whatever they wanted to. And so we're right back where we started. And what we cannot do is repeat the sins of the past. But look, we've also got to realize that at some point the Iranians have to come back to the table. They know that. They're just looking for a face-saving way to do that.
Stalling. James Carafano, Vice President of Foreign Policy at the Heritage Foundation. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for having me.